Okay, so today Eric Fountain was arrested previously. While they were booking him, he took the opportunity to run from the deputy that had him in custody, and while handcuffed, and he ran out the door through the plaza. And when the deputy was injured, he took advantage of that and continued to flee. Yeah, last night one of our deputies doing their normal patrol got a plate reader hit, a stolen vehicle plate reader hit off of one of the license plate readers around the county. He went over to the area. He found the vehicle that Mr. Fountain was driving. He saw him pull into a gas station on Lyle Avenue. When he got out of the vehicle, they attempted to take him into custody. At that point, after a short foot pursuit, he was taken into custody and arrested for the stolen vehicle. Additional charges were levied after they searched the vehicle and found fentanyl, cocaine, some methamphetamine pills, and he was taken into custody for that. During that investigation, he complained of shoulder pain while back at the zone. So as is customary, we had him medically checked out at Strong Hospital. Once he was released from Strong Hospital, deputies picked him up and transported him down here, where they started the booking process prior to his escape.
Where was he found after the escape?
So he was found in a drainage pipe over off of Court Street, and that was with the help of the Water Authority's cameras that they can use and actually explore the drainage pipes, and they can go through there. So they were able to spot him in there.
RFD sent out a release earlier today about a rescue at 185 Exchange. Are these the same? Was that him?
They are. After he fled the plaza, he jumped the fence that surrounds the plaza here. He went across the street. We saw him on camera with the help of our partners over at Blue Cross Arena. They were able to identify him climbing a fence over by the river. At that point, we didn't know if we had a rescue operation or a search and detain operation. So we treated it as both simultaneously. We had resources from all over the county. I think I saw almost every agency that we work with here, including the troopers with their helicopter. We had their canines, we had our canines. Grease responded with a robot to help us search the tunnels, because that was really the only avenue he could have escaped if he didn't go in the water. So we use a whole lot of resources there to try to locate him. The federal marshals also responded, because they had a warrant for him for a federal violation of probation, and our warrant task force was also here on the weekend to make sure that they were searching for him at location.
How many deputies were escorting inside? Just the one? So at the time of booking, it was just
One in the booking area with him.
Just turn it off.
How bad was the deputy injured at all? Or?
Yes. So when he ran, the deputy chased him. He tackled him out in the plaza, and when both men fell to the ground, the deputy hit his head on the concrete and was rendered unconscious. He was clearly injured based on the reaction from hitting the ground. And then you can also see that Mr. Fountain decided to continue to run and flee. Fortunately for us, the jail was doing in-service training up on our second floor, which is our training floor. They looked out the window and saw the deputy laying unconscious on the ground and went down to evaluate, render him aid, and then they called 911, at which point you got the response you saw this morning.
I mean, obviously, some eyewitnesses must have observed the individual kind of where he headed to. I know I was at a scene on Fitzhugh where they were searching backyards there. So it was rather a large scene. I mean, he could have been anywhere, right?
He could have been anywhere. We thought we had it narrowed down. At one point, the job you're referring to on Fitzhugh Street, an alert citizen called for someone trying to break into a residence over there or a building. We responded over with RPD. It ended up not being related, but they did make an arrest on that for a burglary. With all the police resources, it was pretty quickly detained and taken into custody, and then they resumed their search for this suspect.
How overwhelming was the response? I mean, agencies from kind of all over and various, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say overwhelming. I'd say impressive. The amount of cooperation we got from Fairport, Brighton, Greece. I mean, I'm going to miss everybody, right, if I try to name everyone. But I don't think there was an agency here who I didn't see a car from out there, either taking a traffic point, participating in a search, helping us with some of the technology they have. I mean, we share resources all the time when these kind of large searches come in, whether it's a missing person or a suspect. I would say I was very impressed. When I got called in this morning, I was coming in and I'm like, wow, everybody's here to help us with this.
How big is this drainage pipe he was found in, and was he stuck in there?
I don't have the exact measurements. I mean, the opening of it's a little bit larger, and then it decreases in size as you go further in. I believe if he would have went even further, and he wouldn't have been able to go much further and get a body through there. However, he was hiding. There was some kind of blockage in the drain pipe that he was able to navigate through, and he was found on the other side of that.
He had any plan for where to go after this, or was this all just kind of in the moment?
I'm not going to anticipate what his thought process was. My experience tells me he was probably waiting for us to give up, which we're not going to do. And then at that point, he was probably going to try to sneak out of there and go on his way and find a way to get home.
Can you talk about his past criminal history? I know we had a story, we weren't sure if it was the same person, of a person being convicted. I believe it was in 2016 of a bank robbery. Is this the same individual?
Yeah, I have no information on that. I've never heard that on this case here. I have to refer to the investigators later to follow that up, but I don't have that detail here. He does have previous arrests, and again, there was a federal warrant out for him for violating his federal probation, so yeah, he does have a criminal history, but exact details I don't have.
Is he from the Rochester area originally? Do you know that?
Yeah, he is from the Rochester area. I believe the last residence I had on file was in Chili. We had one in Scottsville, and then there's some stuff in the city, so he moves around a little bit.
He was in the hospital. Is that still? Do we have updates on that situation?
Yeah, when we got him out of the drain pipe, he surfaced through one of the manhole covers that came up there. He did not look good. I saw him in the back of the ambulance. He was weathered. It looked like he had been exposed to very cold water for a period of time. And he was taken into custody without incident, but at this point, we just had to medically make sure he was okay.
Might be a stupid question, but when he was found, was he still wearing the handcuffs, or did he slip out of them, or?
I don't have the answer to that question. Do you know if he was? He was, yeah. He was still in the handcuffs. So the way he was handcuffed, because initially when he complained of shoulder pain, the deputy decided he was going to, take that into consideration and use 2 sets of handcuffs on him, which Mr. Fountain took advantage of, right? So the deputy tried to show a little compassion for, the pain that he was in. And at that point, he decided to take the handcuffs, move him to the front, which allowed him to run, climb fences, do things like that. So.
Review kind of protocol and everything, but I mean, it's I guess some discussion might have to be made. One deputy, this is rare though. I mean, people really don't run like that, do they?
Yeah, we always evaluate these things whenever something doesn't go according to plan or according to how it's trained or planned out. We always evaluate and reevaluate. Our internal investigation is going to go through, and they will find any kind of gaps in our security or our processes right now, and we'll make those adjustments. In this case here, I think we have more secure areas and less secure areas here that we do simple fingerprinting and booking. In this case here, I think we just had a suspect who, normally it would be a one-on-one, and in this case, he took advantage of the security we had in place. No, I would say as of right now, the charges will be on your media release that Deputy Marcucci will hand you, but they're going to be escape first and assault second for the injury to the deputy while he's fleeing. Last night's drug charges were criminal possession of controlled substance in varying degrees for the different drugs and paraphernalia that he had, along with the stolen vehicle charges.
Can you elaborate on the drugs and paraphernalia he had?
He had an amount of cocaine and fentanyl on him. 20 pills, I believe, is what they said in the release of methamphetamine pills. And there were some scales and packaging, which we can anticipate was probably going to be used for sale at some point.
You might have already mentioned this, or this might have already come out. Where is he being held right now? And do you know when he'll be appearing in court or anything like that?
I don't have the court date for you. I can tell you when he clears his medical evaluation, or if they have to treat him at the hospital, however long that takes, he'll then be transported probably down to our cap court. Or they'll do an arraignment with him, and he'll probably be remanded because he has that federal warrant in our jail. I believe so. What else we got? Nothing else? All right. Thank you, guys. All right.